Good morning, students. Good morning. So, how are you all? Hope you are doing well. So, be careful at the same time because COVID pandemic is spreading over. So, try to eat healthy, drink enough water, be stay at home, and safe. Okay? Now let me ask you one thing. Do you like to travel? Yes. Okay. Then which mode of transportation is most comfortable for you? Is it roadways, railways, or waterways? Oh, somebody said roadways by car. Okay. Then railways. Very good. And nobody's interested in shipping, boating, rafting. Nobody? Yeah, you are interested. I do also interested in rafting, river rafting. Have you done that in Coorg? Okay. And now, can you identify this picture? It's a picture of a dash. What? A ship. Very good. And when you see this picture, I know one thing that you will be easily connected with the movie. That is Titanic. Who were the main characters in the movie? Cat and Rose. Their love story and also that music and everything is world famous. And I want to know from you what happened to Titanic? Can anybody say? Okay, Titanic sink into Atlantic Ocean. It was an accident, is it? It hits with a ice glacier and the spin of the wheels lose its balance and Titanic by losing the balance had started to submerge into the Atlantic Ocean, taking away thousands and thousands of life. The disaster happens long before and now we can now I want to ask you that was an accident that happens in ocean and the ship was lose its balance. If this accident happened in a road, we call that road accident. And the same thing happened to a ship, will you call that a ship accident? No, we have another word for it. I want that. Can anybody say? Yes, it's a shipwreck. I will show the pictures of some shipwreck, some disastrous accidents that happens around various times in in the history. And you know one thing, that shipwrecks are really dangerous. Once the ship loses its balance, everyone will plunge into the ocean or the water. It will be so difficult even if you know the in swimming, if you get the life jacket or anything, it will be too difficult to survive, more difficult. So today we will learn a story called A Shipwrecked Sailor, written by the Colombian author Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Do you know about the author? Somebody say yes, somebody say no. So anyway, I will explain about him. He's a Colombian novelist and one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. He was awarded Nobel Prize for Literature in 1982, mostly for the masterpiece. You need not have to look at that. 100 Years of Solitude. He was the fourth Latin American to be honored for the Nobel Prize. Okay. Now, shipwreck. What do you mean by shipwreck? A destruction of a ship as by sinking, because once the ship loses its balance, it will submerge in the ocean. So this is called, it will sink in the ocean. This is called shipwreck. Okay. This is a story about a shipwreck narrated by a sailor. That's why the story is called A Shipwrecked Sailor. Okay, I will read the first passage of the story. Please do listen carefully. My first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. I looked one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. It was a perfect clear day, except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of a shipwreck. Soon I began to cry shouts nearby. Through the sharp whistling of the wind, I recognized the voice of Julio Amador Caraballo, the tall, well-built officer who was yelling at someone. "Fasto, hold there!" It was as if in that instant I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. It dawned on me that I wasn't alone in the ocean. Only thereafter, a few meters away, My mates were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. Quickly, I began to think I hadn't swum in any direction. I knew we were about 15 miles from Cartagena, but I was not yet frightened. For a moment, I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely until help arrived. It was reassuring to know that all around me other sailors were in the same predicament. That was when I saw the raft. So, this is the three passages that we are going to deal today. So, I want something from you. You have to read this passage silently and you have to mark the difficult words that you find from the passage. So, the words that I found difficult is the one that I have underlined, and you also have to do the same. I will give you 1 minute to read the first passage and to mark the difficult words. Please do it. You need not have to look for the meaning or to comprehend anything now. You just want to underline the difficult words. Please don't read the passage or to understand the story. You just want to underline the difficult words. Okay, is that the same words? Utterly, yes, plunged, abysses, bobbing crates, contemplate, choppy. Any other difficult words? Oh, you want scattered? Then. Okay, that's it. Then in the second passage, do you find any other difficult words? Other than yelling, whistling. Okay. In the latter paragraph, is there any difficult words? Downed. Okay, afloat. All right. Then in the last passage, could be predicament. Any other difficult words? Reassuring. Indefinitely. Okay. I will explain the words, the meaning of the words that you have asked one by one. The first word is abysses. Abysses meaning, in the emoji what you are seeing, the never-ending horizon, and the emoji is stunning at it. So abysses meaning, in this context, abysses meaning bottomless depth. Okay, bottomless depth, unending depth. That is called abysses. A deep ditch, that is called abysses. I think you are clear about it. Abysses meaning it's a deep or seemingly bottomless depth. Okay. Contemplate. Contemplate meaning what this old man is doing. He is thinking about something, is it? So thinking, contemplate meaning to think about, to consider. That is meaning contemplate. The extension of lockdown period is being contemplated by the Indian government, because which means Indian government is actually thinking about whether to extend the lockdown or not. Contemplating here means thinking over, to consider the problem whether to extend the lockdown period or not. Then somebody asked me the meaning of plunge. Plunge meaning in this picture what the boy is doing. Yes, he is jumping from a height. Is it? This is called plunge. Plunge meaning to move suddenly, to fall from a height, that is called plunge. Then choppy. In this particular picture, what are you seeing? Rough winds. Is it? This is rough winds. That is called choppy. Choppy means disturbed winds. Then cargo. In this particular picture, you are seeing a cargo. It's a ship, but a ship loaded with a lot of goods. That is called cargo. Hope you understand. Hope you have understood. Then predicament. Nobody asked about the meaning of this word, but I know that you don't know the meaning of this word. Predicament meaning a difficult, unpleasant situation. Predicament meaning a difficult, unpleasant situation is a predicament. Alright. Then somebody asked me the meaning of L. L meaning to cry. Raft, this is raft. In this particular picture, you are seeing a raft, a boat which is made with wooden sticks and tied together with coir. That is called raft. Now I think now you are ready to read the passage. Now you know the meaning of every difficult word. Is it? Now let me explain. My first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. So, the story begins from here. My first impression, who was this my? The name of the story is a shipwrecked sailor. So, the my is a sailor. So, who is the narrator of the story? Sailor. the sailor of the ship is the narrator of the story. His first impression was that he was alone in the middle of the ocean. From this particular sentence, you might be clear about one thing, that this sailor is utterly alone. Utterly means completely alone in the middle of the ocean. Okay, the ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. What happened to the ship? It was actually sailing in the ocean, but suddenly the ship had fallen to a bottomless depth, and there is no evidence of ship now. Okay, I had no idea what was happening. I took hold one of the bobbing kites and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. And what happened? When you are being in a shipwreck, the first thing that you have to do is you need to save yourself from the destruction. But here this guy, this sailor, stupidly thinks about the sea. Is there any wisdom in looking at the beauty of a sea when you are fell helpless at the ocean? No. But here the man is, the stupid guy is thinking, contemplating, thinking over the sea. Oh, it was a perfect clear day. Except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and cargo scattered across the surface, there was no evidence of the shipwreck. In between, I could see some choppy waves, some disturbed waves, and there is no other evidence of a shipwreck. The ship is no more because the ship had disappeared into bottomless ocean. There is no evidence of a shipwreck, and everything disappeared. What happened to the sailor? He is thinking about the ocean, and he had now clung safely into a bobbing crates. Soon I begin to cry. Shouts nearby. Shouts meaning crying. Crying sounds. Shouting from various places because the ship had plunged into bottomless ocean, and some people might have escaped from it. They are crying from here and there. Okay. Recognize the voice of someone called Giulio Amanda Carabello, the tall, well-built officer who was yelling at someone, Fatso, hold there. He's crying over and saying, Fatso, hold there. Anybody, please help me. This well-built officer might be calling the name of its subordinate, I think. Fatso could be the name of any person. Fatso, hold there. Please help me. The well-built officer is crying for help. All right. The second passage, what are the things that is explained? Let me read. It was as if in that instant I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. I felt that I had been sleeping for a longer time. Now I awake from my sleep. It downed. Somebody had asked me the meaning of down. Down meaning understood. Here down meaning understood. He understood that he was not alone in the sea. Thereafter, a few meters away, my mates were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. So many of the inmates in the ships were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. Quickly, I begin to think I couldn't swim in any direction. In the midst, what sailor had understood is he was not able to swim in any direction. I know we were about 15 miles from Cartagena. Before the shipwreck, they maybe crossed the place called Cartagena. Now they are looking that 15 miles, the ship might be 15 miles away from Cartagena. But it was not at frightened. For a moment, I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely. Now he had decided himself to hold on the crates indefinitely until help arrived. It was reassuring to know what all around me other sailors were in the same predicament. Now he understood about one thing, that not only him but all other men are also in the same difficult situation. That was when I saw the raft. So in the end, what happened is that the sailor understood himself that not only him but many other inmates in the ship is also going through the same predicament. Predicament means difficult situation. Then what happened is that he had seen a raft. Okay, that's a twist. We don't know what happened in the next. So let me explain the story once again. The portions that we had taken today. And what we are seeing in the passage is that the sailor found himself alone in the ocean. He had found a bobbing crates and clung safely to it. Except for the choppy whales, there is no evidence of a shipwreck. and he could see his inmates also crying out for help. And what he had decided in the end is that I have to wait until I got a help from somebody. Until then, I will clung safely in this bobbing crates. Crates meaning wooden box. Bobbing means moving, moving up and down. That is called bobbing. Then he had also found that the same other sailors are also in the same predicament. Then he had seen a raft. We don't know what will happen to the sailor. Will he survive out of the destruction? We don't know. How will he then survive out of the destruction of the shipwreck? We also didn't know. We have to read further to know more about it. Now let me wind up the chapter with these points. So can you now answer my questions? Who is the narrator of the story? It's a sailor. Okay, it's a sailor. The name of the sailor is Velasco. What is its meaning? Velasco. Julius Alexandro Velasco is the name of the sailor. Then what had happened to the ship? Yes, it had submerged into bottomless depth. Then who was the officer that is mentioned in the last end of the first paragraph? Luis Julio Amanda Carabello. What he was doing? A tall, well-built officer yelling someone for help. Okay. Now let me also brush up. What is the title of the story then? A Shipwrecked Sailor. Very good. Who is the author? Gabriel Garcia Marquez. What happened to the narrator ship? It has sunk into bottomless depth. Now let me give you an assignment or a discourse to complete the profile of Gabriel Garcia Marquez using this hints. It should be short. You need not have to make it lengthy. You can make use of these points. Colombian novelist, short story writer, affectionately called Gabo. Best novels, 100 Years of Solitude, The Story of a Shipwrecked Sailor. Can you do the profile writing? Yes. Then complete it. Here is the model answer. Gabriel Garcia Marquez was a Colombian novelist, short story writer, screenwriter and journalist. He was affectionately called Gabo by others. His best known novels include 100 Years of Solitude, then A Shipwrecked Sailor. Could you know any other novels written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez? Yes, Love at the Time of Cholera. So when you are asked to write a profile writing, what you have to do is you can make use of the points which is given in the question. That is the first thing. And also you have to supplement the additional information that you know about the author. So please don't write about Shipwrecked Sailor. You have to mention something about the story too. What you have to understand from the story, you can also mention that. Okay. This is a brief profile, a short profile about the author. In examination, they will give you more points. There is an order also that you have to follow for a profile writing. First of all, you have to speak about the birth, the place where the person has born, and also about its profession, about its father and mother, about its schooling, the places where he had studied, and about its notable works, the awards that he had received. So this is the order, that particular pattern that you have followed for a profile writing. Alright? I am quite sure that you will write when you write a profile excellently when it is asked for an exam. Then now let me summarize the lesson again. Please do listen carefully. So the name of the story is A Shipwrecked Sailor, written by Colombian author Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And in the beginning of the chapter, what we are seeing is the sailor is utterly, completely found himself in the middle of the ocean, and the ship has plunged into abysses and disappeared. He could see some bobbing crabs in between, and he contemplated about the sea, about the choppy winds, and in between the stupid guy is actually thinking over about the ocean rather than to save himself from the disastrous situation. And in the next passage, the author had mentioned about Julio Amanda Carabello. He was a well-built officer who found himself helpless in the ocean, calling out the subordinates. And he could also see some persons shouting in between. Then he awakened outside from the deep sleep. He downed in it and he found himself alone in the sea. Then he found helpless to swim also. Then now he found himself that he was 50 miles away from Cartagena, that he was not frightened, but he was not even frightened. And not only the sailor, but many other inmates in the ocean are also in the same situation, in the same difficult situation. Predicament means in the same difficult, tense situation. And at the last, there is a twist. He had found a raft. Okay, we don't know what will happen to him. For that, we have to move on in this next class. Okay, so now I can give you an assignment. What might be the thoughts of the sailor when the ship rocked? Explain those in your own words. That's the activity. So you can seek the help of your coach book. That is the first thing, because the thoughts and feelings of the sailor could be written by the experience that the sailor had painted, portrayed in the story. That is the one thing. And the second thing, in addition to that, you can also supplement a mental stature of a person who had stuck in an ocean. Okay, you can write in both ways. Either you can seek the help of the course book to supplement the details, and also at the second thing, you can also paint your own imaginations. You could be knowing about the mental stature of a person who had stuck inside an ocean. Okay. Do you have any doubts regarding the chapter that I had taken? No. So then let me wind up the class for today. Tomorrow you have to complete this assignment and I will check those assignments. All right. Okay, now let me wind up this class for today. Thank you.